Okay, with that out of the way, I think it's finally time that we got around to implementing these methods here. Okay, I just got done saying that this initialize method is going to be called first by Explorer, but it just so happens that we don't actually have to do anything here in order to get a bare bones context menu item onto the context menu. So for now, I'm just going to leave this unimplemented. So let me go here to the implementation of it, and I'm just going to return SOK here. Then remove that message box. And so we're done with this for now. We can come back to it later if you guys want. This method as well, we don't have to touch it. This method here, whenever we click on the menu item that we create, this method will be called. So I will implement it, and it's just going to do a simple thing. System, we're just going to open Microsoft Paint. There we go. There, so when we finally make our context menu item and it's on the context menu, when we click on it, it's just going to open Microsoft Paint. All right, here is the interesting method. Okay, so first thing comes straight from the documentation. What Microsoft wants us to do is check these flags here, and the only thing they want us to check is that it doesn't contain the following thing. This. So if the flags contain this, then Microsoft wants us to exit the method immediately, and they want us to return the following value. So make H result, and it's 0, 0, 0, the return that they want us to do, but actually there are like special macros for these first two arguments here that they'd rather we use instead. Come on. Severity, success, and facility, null. So just remember that these are just macros for 0, and that this whole thing here comes straight from the documentation. Okay, and if you don't know what a flag mask is, let me know, and maybe I'll make a video about them because they're kind of interesting. We don't really need to know what they are, for this. Here we're just copying documentation stuff. Okay, so now we can finally make our context menu item. We're going to use a method called InsertMenuItem. There we go. It takes 4 parameters. The first one is going to come from up here. It's an H menu. And think of an H menu, actually think of a context menu as an array. Okay, just an array of elements that are menu items, menu item elements. And this H menu here is simply, think of it as simply a reference to that array. So, okay, there's our menu. And the second one is the index at which or before which you want to insert your item. The index is 0 based, so you can put in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like a regular array. So for us, we'll just put 0, but maybe you guys would like to try to experiment with 1, 2, 3, 4, stuff like that. So, but for now, for me, 0. Okay, the third argument here sort of changes this second argument here. So if you put true here, then this method here will be expecting a number for in this argument. And if you put false, it's going to expect something else. But since we're just putting a number, we put true. So check the documentation for more details. Okay, and now here is where we will put our custom menu items. So that's going to look like this. Just put my item right there. And it actually wants a pointer to that item, so we'll use the little ampersand notation there, or the ampersand operator, in order to just return the address of this item that we're about to create. So these menu item elements that I just talked about are represented by structures called MENUITEMINFO. Alright, so let's make one, or let's initialize one. So we begin by doing that, and this thing has like properties, and I don't know if that's the right term for it. The first step always for menu item infos is to do this. So set its CD size to size of menu item info. Why menu item info? Because it's a menu item info. It's as simple as that. For a full list of properties, check the documentation. Here I'm only going to go through just 3 of them. Actually 4, including this one here. Okay, next one will be one that's easy to understand. It's called DW type data, and this is the actual like words that'll appear in the context menu for us to click. So here I'm just going to put YouTube test item, right? There we go. And now Windows has multiple ways of interpreting this property of a menu item info object. So in order for us to let Windows know to interpret this as a string, we have to do this. So we have to set the fmask property of our item here to MEIM string. Okay, so that's why we're doing that. And then there's one more property that we're going to set. It's called WID, and this sort of gives our context menu item a special identifier, which in our case will just be a number that we can use from within this program to actually identify this item. So let me explain when this could come in handy. Okay, say we create 2 items. So we can have my item there and a my item 2. Okay, and they appear in the context menu. And whenever a user clicks on one of them, doesn't matter which one, this method is going to be called. So how do we differentiate, how do we know which item a user clicked? It's very simple. We use this, the WID. So we give this item here its own WID, maybe like 8, and then we give this one an ID of 3. And then here we just check, okay, what's the ID here? Is it 8 or 3? And then depending on that, we can do a custom thing. There we go. So that's the one way to use this. And now, of course, Windows has multiple ways to identify an item here. And so to tell Windows that we want to use this here as our way of identifying this item here, we have to put this flag here. There we go. All right, and that's it. We are finished. Oh, actually, no, we're not. We have to actually properly set this ID. Okay, so when Windows calls this method, it gives us a range of values that we can assign here. And those values are between this value here, ID command first, and this value here, ID command last. So if you print these out in a message box, ID command first is going to be like some number, and then ID command last is going to be, a bigger number, and you can assign some value in between those. In our case, we're not going to be very sophisticated. We're just going to do ID command first. And then, of course, if you have multiple items, you're going to want to give them different IDs, so you can just add one there, or two, or three, or whatever you want. Okay. Good. I think we are finished. Oh, actually, no. There's one more thing. We have to return. Microsoft wants us to return a special value after this method completes, and that is as follows. So make hResult severity success 0. And here is the interesting part. And for a better explanation of what you should put here, again, refer to the documentation, but here is my explanation. Okay, so what's going to go here is this ID right here. So my item.wid minus this here, ID command first, plus 1. Okay, and now depending on your own implementation here of this method, the only thing that you are going to have to change is this part here of this little expression. So what should you change it to? Well, you should change it to, let's say you make multiple items here. So you have one item. Here, let me just copy this. Okay, so you've got two items, and one has a WID of this, and the other one has a WID of, let's say, 5. Okay? And so what you should do now, down to here, is change this to your second item. Why? Because its WID here is the largest one that you have in this method here. And it's as simple as that. So if we leave that alone and then we put plus 5 here, or plus 1 this time, then we're going to make sure that this item is the one that we're taking the WID of to put here in this expression. So I hope you understand what's going on. Okay, again, read the documentation. So, all right. Okay, now I think we've done it. Let's build this and run it. So B for build. Okay, it's actually Control-Shift-B. All right, ready? We are officially about to finish this forever. Okay, so when I right-click on this, I should see nothing except the context menu because I think I got rid of the message box. Here it is, and here is our YouTube test item. And now when I click on this, what we're going to see is we're going to see the command prompt flash on the screen for like an instant, and then after that, Microsoft Paint is going to load up. Okay, ready? Set, go. There we go. So we've done it. Our very, very, very basic context menu extension is now complete. Actually, there is something more that we should do, or that you might want to do, or that actually Microsoft wants us to do, and that is to check the result of this method call here. So we're going to wrap it in an if statement. There we go. Also note this exclamation point there. And then, so this is just checking if this method call fails, then we're going to return the following. Make h result. Oh, oops, that's not right. It's h result from, and this comes, of course, straight from the documentation, get last error. There we go. If you want to be like a proper super programmer, then you'll put this here. And it should compile without a problem and work exactly the same way. So that's it, guys. It's finally it. Congratulations. See you later. If you want me to go into more detail about like this method or this method, then let me know. Also, if I'm interested in like some other, oh wow, I need to change this. If I'm interested in like some specific part of this that I haven't really explained before, then I guess I'll make a new video expanding on it. Maybe I'll make a video expanding on some of the properties of this class here, or this struct. Maybe. Okay, well, that's enough for this video. I hope you had fun. See you later.